Tuesday, August 4th, and you're watching the Hammer Daily here on the Hammer Betting Network, presented by our good friends over at FanDuel. I'm your host today, Jason Cooper, alongside my producer for the next hour and a bit, Mike Bennett, working his way behind the boards. We've got a great show for you today. Can't wait to kick things off on this shorter weekend and give you guys all the information you need heading into football, college football, MLB playoffs. We got so much coming down the pipeline in August. Hope everyone had a great weekend. I hope everyone had a great long weekend if you live in Canada. And let's get into today's show. What's up, TQ? What's up, everybody in the chat? Just a quick reminder, if you're at Bet Bash, have some fun and enjoy it, but also take some time of your day and listen to us. We'll be live at 9 a.m. local time in Las Vegas. I believe 9 a.m. 10 a.m.?
9 a.m.
9 a.m. local time in Las Vegas. It's a great thing to do hungover. Listen to us in the morning. And maybe you can head over down, place some bets while you're there. Anyways, hope you enjoy today's show. What do we got for today? Let's see. A lot to talk about here today. We got MLB Trade Deadline that just happened yesterday. A lot of moving parts. Tariq Skubal went to the Dodgers. Oh my goodness, is that crazy? Hopefully you caught Barry Horse on the show last week, because we talked about the situation of what would happen if Skubal goes to the Dodgers. How much that affects things. And if you weren't able to get in on the early price, I think the Dodgers were like 175-ish. Then they moved down to 160. I think they might have been a little bit longer here, but the current price of the Dodgers, I hope you don't FOMO bet them right now, because if you listen to that segment, Barry Horse had a great point. Instead of having to lock up this money for a very long time, just bet the Dodgers in the playoffs if you think they're really this good. The move has already happened, so if you're looking to FOMO into the Dodgers right now, don't do that. Just look to bet them in the playoffs. Currently plus 155 on FanDuel right now, and holy smokes, is that ever crazy to see. After that, we got Adrian, a.k.a. the Drunken Goon, coming on. Talk everything soccer. We got tons of soccer action going on, including Champions League qualifiers, Europa League qualifiers, heck, even the Conference League qualifiers. We also got the Leagues Cup, which includes some MLS teams. And also a little bit of a beef going on with my boy Yan Diamande, who looked like an absolute stud in the World Cup. Travis in the chat saying he just hit the Dodgers. No, I'm not saying. Listen. There's different ways to go about things. If you want to tie that money up long term, that's fine. But you may, like Barry Horse said, let that money do some work for you. Let that money do some work for you instead of tying your money up the whole time. But I mean, if you have like a free bet that's going to expire, whatever, maybe not the best to use it on the Dodgers plus 155. Maybe look towards the MVP market when that becomes available. But yeah, just consider hitting different angles instead of just slapping that price you see placed in front of you. And maybe wait, have some patience, and bet them in the playoffs to essentially win every single game. Not every single game, but you know what I mean. Anyways, let's get into today's show. I want to talk about this. Bet Bash is happening right now out in Las Vegas. First day of Bet Bash. So many things that are going to be happening. And we've already seen friends of the show have a great time in Vegas so far. I'm getting a little bit of FOMO here, guys. So let's bring it on up. We got Golden Pants. Look at this guy. He already won. He won a poker tournament the day he landed in Vegas. Up around $6,000 PNL. Check that out for a documented record, Matt Zilbert. Yeah, shout out to him. I feel a little bit of FOMO. We're gonna get Jacob coming on tomorrow, because there's so many things that are gonna be happening in Bet Bash. We have the GRP dress, the GRP dunk tank. We got Golden Pants here, and I'm sure there's gonna be other altercations. Like, is Fezzik gonna come up and scream at somebody in a hallway? What's gonna happen here? And we got Jacob boots on the ground to cover everything that's going to be happening today, and he'll fill us in tomorrow at the end of the show. So if you're curious, if you want to know what's been happening at Bet Bash, we got you covered. Here on the show. Yeah, I don't know what else you guys are looking forward to at Bet Bash. I know Fezzik and Ferris are having a panel together. That's going to be a little interesting, because Ferris is hosting it and he doesn't mince his words. Fezzik, on the other hand, it's just a very interesting dynamic. If you're out in Bet Bash right now, I know that Judah Forking and Tej Seth, two friends of the show, are hosting their own panel. You should go check that out if you're in Bet Bash for Vegas right now. But without further ado, we'll give you the information on Bet Bash here tomorrow on the show when we get Jacob to call in. But let's talk about our friends over at FanDuel first. The Hammer Daily is brought to you by FanDuel. Baseball fans, big hits get even bigger with Dinger Tuesday on FanDuel. Customers choose their own reward every Tuesday to use on home run bets. How will you play your game? Option 1, the bet reset. Use this on your wager, and you'll get refunded in bonus bets if your bet loses. Option 2, a 50% profit boost. Make your bet, activate that profit boost. And if it hits, that's extra winnings at no extra costs. Make your choice, and the reward will be ready to use on your next home run bet. Just visit FanDuel.com/forwardprogress to choose your own reward for home run bets every Dinger Tuesday. Play ball with the home for home runs on FanDuel. An official partner of the MLB. Must be 21 plus and present in select states. For Kansas in affiliation with Kansas Star Casino, or 18 plus and present in DC, Kentucky, or Wyoming. Opt-in required. Rewards are not withdrawable. Restrictions apply, including bonus and token expiration, like requirements, and max wager amount. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 1-800-MY-RESET. Call 1-888-79-7777. Or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut. Visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Visit gamblinghelpline.org or call 1-800-275-050 Massachusetts. Call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York. Call 1-877-770-7867 in Louisiana. I see you guys in the chat going a little crazy here. E-Colt saying Houston Astros are rising, boys, but Tigers are dead. Ciao. Hey, we appreciate you, E-Colt, and I know you got a meeting coming up later today, so hopefully you're going to skip that meeting and watch the show instead. If you want to bet for Dinger Tuesday, guys, I got you covered. Matt Olson, plus 330 right now, is one of the better prices on the board in terms of hitting a home run. Matt Olson hit a home run, plus 330. All right. Let's get into today's show. We got our first guest coming on. He is a Blue Jays fan. Blue Jays covers the Blue Jays over at the DFA podcast. You should check him out. Josh Goldberg, how's it going?
Good, man. Good to be back on with you.
Yeah, excited to be back on, and it's crazy what a couple or many months can do between the last time you were on and right now, because I believe the last time you were on was when the Jays were in the World Series and things were feeling really good, and now things aren't so. We've completely hit a different sort of inflection point with this Jays franchise. We'll talk about the Jays in just a second, but I want to sort of take a look at everything that happened over this past weekend, including the biggest news was the Tariq Skubal trade. Biggest thing I'm looking at right now is we've seen a bunch of pitchers get traded at this deadline, and some have control, some don't. So that has to factor into things. But looking at the return for Tariq Skubal at the gate, I'm not a prospect guy, but the number 25 prospect and the number 68 prospect for one of the best pitchers in baseball, it feels a little light. What do you think about this trade?
Yeah, I guess at first blush, I probably would say the same, but then you kind of zoom out a little bit, and we're talking about a rental, even as good as Skubal is, and he had elbow surgery this season. It was like kind of a new type of surgery, and he came back quickly, but still, those are some concerns, and I just don't know how much more you realistically could have expected to get for him, considering all of that. And Zaire Hope, I think, is a pretty solid prospect and has quite a bit of potential. And I think River Ryan is a major league caliber pitcher. He's a little bit older. I think he's 28 and still has prospect status. He's dealt with injuries, but I assume he'll be given every opportunity to pitch in that rotation probably pretty soon. So yeah, sticker price maybe isn't what we would have expected, but I don't think it's some fleece job that happened. Like I think that the Tigers did relatively well, all things considered.
Just frustrating when you look at the scope of things and the team that traded for Tariq Skubal. Obviously, the wounds are still fresh for us here in Toronto. But yeah, it feels like if this trade was, if we saw the same prospects being dealt from another team, maybe I wouldn't feel this way. But it's the Dodgers, and I feel like they've just been able to, I don't want to say get every advantage in the book, but it feels like they get a lot of bounces their way. Next one I want to talk about is the Adley Rutschman trade. Two ways to look at this. One, the Red Sox sort of, I don't want to say empty out their cupboards, but give their number 2, number 4, number 5 prospects in their pipeline to get Rutschman. Two things. One, how much does this boost the Red Sox? And two, is this sort of the end of an era for this Baltimore team that was never able to really sort of push through?
Yeah, I think no question it's a real turning point in a bad way for the Orioles. They won 0 playoff games with this group of prospects that developed some of them into really good players for a time, and then injuries, et cetera, kind of stunted their progress, and it just hasn't worked out. And I don't know what the future holds for them. Like, they signed Pete Alonso to that contract, and they're clearly in somewhat of a transitional phase franchise-wise. I assume at some point in time they're going to have to make a decision on Gunnar Henderson. he hasn't performed in a way that would make you feel particularly comfortable about signing him to a long-term expensive contract. So maybe there's another trade of a player that was expected to be a linchpin in the not too distant future. But I thought that they did pretty well, all things considered. I'm generally pro trading prospects when
Mm.
you believe you have a chance to win. And clearly the Red Sox feel as though they have a chance to win. And look, they just swept the Dodgers in LA. They're on an incredible heater. So I totally get why they did what they did. My only thing is I'm good trading prospects in the right deal. And I have some real question marks about whether Adley Rutschman is the right player to be spending a huge price tag on. Great defensive catcher still. In terms of wins above replacement, he's been one of the most valuable catchers this year because he has been pretty good at the plate. But injuries are unfortunately a big part of the story when it comes to talking about him. He's been
Mm.
hurt on and off for the last 3 years. And outside of a stretch in April, he hasn't really been very good at the plate this year. And he's been pretty bad at the plate since the start of 2024, basically right around league average at the plate. So the Red Sox needed more from the catching
Mm.
position. And in theory, he should be able to deliver that. But he needs to be a big time producer for the next year and a half. And we'll see what happens after that for this to be a worthwhile trade. And I really do have some concern whether he's capable of doing that on a consistent basis at the plate, based on what we've seen over the last 3 or so seasons.
Yeah, so I guess it's fair to say that like of these big trades, these two mega deals that we saw, it's like the Dodgers probably get out a little bit further this year than the Red Sox do in terms of this Rushman deal. But like, who do you think 2 years, 3 years, 4 years down the road, we're gonna look back and say like, which of these two trades was better for their team?
I guess it comes down to if the Dodgers win the World Series this year and Tarek Skubal pitches at
Mm.
least one good game in the World Series or a couple of good games in October, then it's
It's
them. And they have way more of a chance to win the World Series this year, obviously, than the Red Sox do. But if they don't win if neither team wins the World Series this year and the Red Sox don't win it next year, but Rutschman has at least some moments, and I guess you could say the Red Sox made out a little bit better. But I think it comes down to who advances further
Mm.
in October and who has more of a positive impact down the stretch in October. And I don't really think the Dodgers needed Skubal.
Mm.
You could say they don't need a lot of the things that they've traded for or acquired over the years. I honestly think they needed a bat more. I think there's some real concerns about some age kind of showing in their lineup, and there are some question marks. But obviously, they felt as though with Otani uncertain, who knows what you're going to get from Blake Snell, Tyler Glass now, that it made sense to just kind of bring in more. And if you have too many good pitchers, that's a good problem to have. And maybe they're just more focused on run prevention
Mm.
than scoring runs and figuring out a way to win games, 2-1 or 3-2, as opposed to trying to tack on more runs. They feel as though they can win games in a more, I guess, conservative, lower scoring fashion.
Yeah, I think those bats will come around for the Dodgers. Just looking at the names that are out there, the Red Sox right now seemingly like they're making their push. Yankees maybe a little bit vulnerable with the Aaron Judge stuff, still sort of in limbo, I guess, and that's a bet the Red Sox were willing to make. Let's talk a little bit about our hometown team now in Toronto. Obviously, heartbreaking trade. Kevin Gausman finally pitches his last pitch for the Toronto Blue Jays as sort of main staple over the last couple of years in this city. Talk to me about the trade, not only just like the return that the Blue Jays got for Gausman, but also like how much this guy's like meant to the city. Because I remember watching him like for the last couple of years, and he's just been like sort of a mainstay for this Toronto team. And there's the picture of him walking out in the playoffs, looking at those 2 World Series trophies in the Jays dugout, and I swear, if the Jays won the World Series, picture would have been up there with like the Kobe Bryant clutching like the Larry O'Brien trophy, like in the all-time like greatest sports picture moments ever. Talk to me about Gausman and the trade itself. Do you feel like the Toronto made out pretty well after moving on from Gausman, who's a free agent?
Honestly, no. I don't think that the return was what I was hoping for, considering some of the pitchers that were moved yesterday or before, who you would argue are not as good,
Mm-hmm.
got more. So like the Cardinals got more for Dustin May than the Jays did for Kevin Gausman. I think San Francisco made out better for Robbie Ray than the Jays did with Gausman. And I don't know what factored into that. Maybe Gausman indicated he only wanted to go certain places, and the Jays wanted to do a solid for him, and that maybe shrunk the pool a little bit. They didn't pay down any of the remainder of his contract salary for this year, so maybe that impacts the return a little bit. But you look, both the guys that they got from the Cubs are now in their top 20 ranked prospects, but they're not really upside plays.
Mm-hmm.
They're kind of floor plays. We're talking about a fourth outfielder. One of the guys they got does not have a home run in his pro career in the minors, more contact based on base skills, which is obviously seems to be a fit for what this organization prioritizes. But that was the one, and Hoffman to an extent as well, that I felt as though they should be able to do pretty well. And I felt a little bit underwhelmed when I kind of took stock of the return when it came to that trade with the Cubs.
So it was the Hoffman trade was 2 prospects from the Twins here. What does this mean for what does it mean for the bullpen for the rest of the year? What position do the Jays think they're in right now? And talk me through the Hoffman trade as well. I know you don't like it, but like maybe give us a little bit more on it.
I was pleasantly surprised with what they got for him. Again, they paid down a chunk of his 2027 salary, which I think improved the return that they got. And the left-handed pitching prospect that they got is firmly in their top 10. I think I saw him at 6 in their rankings. Has not had the best year, but clearly has really good stuff. And if big, tall left-hander who can touch 100, that's valuable. So to get that for an inconsistent reliever, I think is pretty tidy work. And I think more than anything, it's a vote of confidence in Spencer Miles, because he has really excelled at whatever role the Blue Jays have asked of him. And I think he is the most likely candidate to kind of slide into Hoffman's 7th inning role. And he's got really good stuff, throws hard, misses bats up in the zone. He looks the part of a important high leverage reliever. And I think his emergence probably made the Blue Jays feel more comfortable with the idea of trading Jeff Hoffman if the return was satisfactory, and clearly it was for them to pull the trigger.
2 more trades to cover here for the Blue Jays. Toronto flipped Varsho for Spencer Arrighetti. It seems like a priority for them was to get some arms in, because of the next trade this happened before, but the other trade that they made was getting Jose Soriano, which is like, wait, what? Like, are we buyers? Are we sellers? Okay, Soriano has some cost control, but you also give up like one of your top prospects in Arjun Nimala, who, like, I'm not a prospect guy, but that's a name I heard. And if I have heard a name in Toronto in their prospect line, that means that he was probably a pretty good prospect. Talk me through both those trades. Let's start with the Arrighetti for Varsho, a little bit of a simpler trade. Then break down like the Soriano deal and what was going through Atkins. Like, what do you think the process was like for Atkins to do that?
Yeah, so when it comes to the Houston trade with Varsho, Rental, who's had a bad year and is not the player, especially defensively, that he has been, realistically, I don't think you're expecting much in return. And to get a pitcher who has shown some promise, the results have been spotty, I would say at best, but he has shown glimpses. I think he won American League Pitcher of the Month in May. He can miss bats, has a really good curveball, throws 7 pitches. I don't expect that kind of kitchen sink mentality to carry over to the Blue Jays. Have a tendency to kind of focus in on a couple of areas that they feel as though a pitcher should focus on personally to get them performing a little bit better. So I assume that is the blueprint that they'll follow with Arrighetti. He's controllable for, I believe, 4 more seasons through 2030. And we're talking about somebody who provides some ready-made major league depth. I would be surprised. I think he's on the IL right now with some sort of foot issue, nerve issue in his foot. Doesn't seem like it's going to be much of a long-term absence. I assume he'll start some games down the stretch just to get a sense of what you have heading into the offseason. And then the Soriano trade, I expected that they would look to kind of do both buying and selling, sell off your rentals, buy some controllable talent. And that's what they did with Soriano, who can be under contract for 2 more seasons beyond this one. I have some question about what kind of pitcher he actually is. He's got an insanely good knuckle curve and a splitter. Shocker, the Blue Jays like splitters, and those two pitchers are really good. His four-seam sinker, I think, are a little bit of a question mark, but he's the type of pitcher that they usually identify, generally speaking, pretty durable. Has been healthy since he kind of debuted as a major leaguer. Had Tommy John a couple of times earlier in his career, but since then he's been largely very durable and dependable. Throws hard, has really good pure stuff. I think they see some stuff in his makeup that they can work on to get a better version of him unlocked, and they wanted some cost certainty in their rotation to go with Dylan Cease and Trey Savage, and Soriano clearly fills that. But like I said, with Rutschman, when you're trading prospects, I have zero issue trading the Mala. Just I wonder if this is the move that will be the best fit when you're talking about a top tier prospect. You really have to identify the major league player that you feel as though can help your team the most, and time will tell. Soriano certainly has everything it takes to be that type of player, but I will wonder here over the remainder of the season, and then obviously next year and beyond, if Jose Soriano ultimately was the right choice to kind of cash in that chip for.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great point there. It's also like a lot of people's problem with this trade in the city. It feels like it's the bats are struggling, and this is not like something that we haven't seen before. 2 of the last 3 years, our bats have been awful. In the 1 year where it wasn't, we made a World Series run. So is this just like a hope that batting is regression and we sort of bounce back next year, and with a strong pitching staff, we can have a chance? Like that's kind of the question I feel like on everybody's mind. So let's take a step back and look at this trade deadline from Toronto's perspective. Do you consider this then a win, a loss, and I don't know, a play for the future? It depends what happens in free agency. Like what do you make of this trade deadline?
I think a decent result at the very least. Like I think all things considered, they traded the players that they needed to trade. Largely did pretty well. Like I said, the Gosman deal, you would have liked to have done a little bit better. And then they made a bet on Jose Soriano, and I think that will ultimately tell the tale of whether this is a successful deadline. That's really the move. I think within reason, you were going to get somewhere approaching the return that you got for your rentals. I never saw George Springer as that likely to move because it was really Boston was the only logical fit that I saw that he would be willing to accept a trade to, and that might have been a fit for what he is at this stage of his career. And obviously they just didn't align on a deal there. Shane Bieber kind of played his way out of a trade with that horrible start he had against Washington. And then I just wasn't expecting Max Scherzer to really fetch much. And I have no issue keeping him for the rest of the season. So I think part of it will be what they do in the offseason. Like this is, I think, a multi-tiered process where you kind of got the wheels moving in motion now, but they have some major areas that they need to address ahead of whenever next season starts. Hopefully it starts on time. That is going to put them in position to ensure that this is just a 1-year blip and they're back contending for the American League East title at best, and at the very least, very firmly in a wild card conversation.
Okay, I'm going to ask you an impossible question. What's the fix for Vladdy?
Jeez, man, I don't know. I don't know if they're. I don't know. I don't think anyone has a good answer at this point. I think it's one of these questions that you could ask anyone, and I just think it's just one of these confounding situations that you just hope that it's one of these things that is unexplainable for a year, and an off season of work and decompressing maybe allows him to just put this behind him, and it's a nightmare that you wake up from, and he's the hitter that he's been for the majority of his career to start 2027. Because if not, then we are having some really
Mm-hmm.
uncomfortable conversations, because this is the type of situation where a contract could really hamstring you if the
Mm-hmm.
player performs nowhere near the level that was expected when you handed him that contract.
Absolutely. Maybe he's got to go to a psychic. We got to try like alternative methods here at this point now, because I feel like everything's been exhausted, or maybe it's just like, I wonder if it's like fatigue, just like he played a lot of games last year, going deep into the playoffs. Maybe you're right. Maybe a little bit of rest could help him out. Let's take a look at some other trades that happened. A little bit in the NL wild card race here. A couple more trades in the NL that I wanted to highlight here. Phillies acquire Luis Arias, help him out, get a little bit more contact in the sort of the middle of the lineup. Padres make some deals as well for some pitchers. Talk me through this NL race that you're seeing develop right now.
Yeah, so I think that the Phillies getting a rise is a sensible move for what they need offensively. I wonder about just the defensive fit. They're
Mm-hmm.
moving guys around, like Bryce Harper is going to be playing the
Outfield.
outfield
Mm-hmm.
on a short-term basis. I don't know how that's going to go. And they clearly felt as though they needed another bat and more contact. And I think Arise is having a great season, and he's really good defensively, which is always a question mark with him. So they're in a good position, I think, to nail down one of those wild card spots. The Padres are a real mystery always. AJ Preller just kind of zags when everyone expects him to zig. He's just one of these guys who you never know what to expect. And trading for a couple of rental starting pitchers when the offense has been horrible this year for San Diego kind of speaks to that a little bit. And I think they're just kind of backing up what has worked for them this season, winning low scoring games, turning things over to arguably the best bullpen
Mm-hmm.
in the league, and hoping that that will be enough to get you to climb back. I think they're 2 games out of a wild card
Mm-hmm.
spot in the National League, and that will be enough to chase down the Phillies or Arizona. Time will tell. I would have looked to move Mason Miller personally. I just don't think the Padres are close to being a World Series team, and I assume somebody would have paid as much, if not more, than they paid to get him from
Mm-hmm.
the A's last year. He has been one of these relievers who year to year continues to be great, which is not always the case when it comes to relief pitching in terms of how volatile it is. But that's just Preller always feels as though his team has a chance if they're within striking distance, and he's gave them, I guess, a vote of confidence. We'll see if it ends up being the right move, but I personally would have gone the other way, because I don't really think that's a particularly great roster top to bottom.
All right. Last thing I want to talk about here in terms of the trade deadline. After now that everything's sort of settled with the trade deadline, is there a team currently on the outs right now that you think has a chance to end the year in the playoffs? I'm looking at like the Twins, the Rangers, the Mariners, Orioles, Tigers. If you want to throw the Blue Jays in there as well, why not? Padres, Marlins, Pirates, Cards, heck, even the Nats. Any team there you think currently out of a playoff spot has a chance finishing in and making it into the wild card?
I think probably Seattle is the one that stands out the most. They didn't really do that much at the deadline. They traded Luis Castillo, but they have so much rotation depth that it's not really going to be an issue for them. And they got Taylor Ward from Baltimore. And their offense has struggled this year. Obviously, Cal Raleigh has had just a horrendous season after hitting more than 60 home runs last year, 60 home runs, whatever it was. And I just think there's too much talent there, top to bottom. They're only 2 games out of a spot. I think they're 2.5 behind the Astros, who have really surged over the last month or so. But I still think there's an opportunity for them to chase them down. I think they still have probably the most talented roster in that division. And I think of all those teams, it's probably the one that would be least surprising if they find a way to claw their way back into the playoffs over the next 2 months.
Yeah, Mariners only 2 games out from a wild card spot here, primed, ready to go to make a little bit of a run. Only 2.5 games back from the Astros as well, so who knows? They might even be able to chase down the division leader there. What's one, before you head out here, what's one story you're keeping an eye on down the stretch? Something that you're thinking about throughout the year as the games... As the season, I guess, sort of winds down, is there a player you're watching? Is there a team you're watching? What's something that you're focusing on as the season starts to close?
Honestly, the White Sox are the one team that continues to kind of interest me
Mm.
because they're in really good shape. They're 3 games up to win the Central. 2 years after one of, if not the worst seasons in the modern era in terms of how many games they lost. There's a lot of talent on that team, a lot of exciting young talent. I still have some questions about their pitching, but I think it would be a cool story if they were able to get back into the playoffs and make some noise. Cleveland obviously made a big push in terms of buying to put some pressure on them. So I assume that will be a race down the stretch. I think it's a 3-game deficit right now. Normally, the AL Central is one of the least interesting divisions, but I think that race could end up being one of the most fascinating ones, and one that I'm definitely be keeping a close eye on here down the stretch.
All right, we're keeping an eye on the Mariners, keeping an eye on the White Sox, and keeping an eye on the Yankees, and hoping that they can just get bounced as early and as quickly as possible. Let's hope they don't even make the playoffs here.
Yeah.
All right, Josh, appreciate you joining the show. Any final thoughts before you head out?
Hopefully Vladdy gets going. That's really all we can say at this point.
For the sake of all the worms that live in the Rogers Center, let's do it for them. Let's do it for them. Anyways, Josh, appreciate you joining the show.
Thanks, bud. Appreciate it.
All right, let's chat soon. You can follow Josh on Twitter at jgoldberg12. Josh Goldberg. You can follow him on Twitter at jgoldberg12. Go check out the DFA pod. DFA pod. You can find it on Twitter at DFA_pod. Link is in his bio. If you just click the link in the in the chat right there to get to his bio, follow him, and then follow the DFA pod. All right. Whew. A lot to talk about with the Blue Jays there. Sorry, guys. I always like take the reins, and we're talking, Blue Jays baseball, because that's what I care about. That's what I want to know. We got our next guest coming on here in just a second, but before we do that, if you're serious about betting props, the hardest part is not finding an edge, it's scaling it. BetStamp Pro is built to grow your volume and your ROI. Every player prop and alternate line across 200 plus books on one screen at real time. Priced against BetStamp's true line, a proprietary model weighted per market and prop type, bias corrected, producing the most efficient, sharpest prop pricing reference in the industry. Catch off-market props the second they appear across more markets and more outlines than anywhere else, so you can get more money down at a bigger edge more often. Scan the QR code on screen or use the link in the description to apply. QR code on screen or check out betstamp.com/hammer. Let's see if we can use this quickly to find something at FanDuel that we like here. Cubs, Dodgers, Nerfy right now on FanDuel. Plus 104 towards the no run at first inning is the best price in market by like a landslide. A lot of, it's like sharper books have it as 110 yes, 106 no. So not the worst price ever if you're looking to just punt something tonight. Plus 104 at FanDuel. And look how quick that was. Found an edge in like less than 2 seconds just by using BetStamp Pro. So NFL season's around the corner. You're going to want to test it out. Make sure you click the link in the description, betstamp.com/hammer. All right, let's get into our last guest of the day, Adrian, a.k.a. the Drunken Goon. We're going to talk some soccer stuff, and let's get right into things. Adrian, how's it going?
Pretty good. How are you?
I'm good. I appreciate that you tuned into the show a little bit early, and you saw that I was wearing red, and you're like, all right, let's match.
So I saw the logo on your shirt, and I know that's a crew shirt from the early '90s tours by Oasis.
Yes, you nailed it.
I was gonna say I have CDs older than your vintage shirt.
I appreciate that. Well, I got records older than this vintage shirt, so there we go. Listen. This shirt might have been made before I was born, but I think it's awesome.
It's quality, right?
And it's a reminder that Manchester is red.
Sometimes.
All right.
Historically speaking. Not recently.
Yeah, no, not at all. Maybe they can figure it out. Anyways, let's dive into things. Let's talk through, because we got tons of soccer qualifying happening for the UEFA Champions League, Europa League, League Cup, all that sort of stuff. Let's start with the Champions League. Third round qualifying here. Some of the bigger names and bigger teams are in this. We got Lyon playing, Olympiacos playing in this third round. We've got our friends Bodo Glimt playing. I remember them from last year, made it to the round of 16. Absolute studs.
Cinderella.
What are some of the best storylines you're watching in this third round? Talk me through some bets you made so far.
So yeah, Bodo's the big story. They
Mm.
made their run last year. They beat Inter and came close to pushing some of the Giants. And they're off to a rocking start. To the second half of the season, they've won 5 games. They haven't allowed a goal yet. So the market is pretty high on them. I'm a fan, but I'm also a fan of Union Saint-Gilloise. So I actually took a play on the Belgian hosts plus minus a half plus 120 in that first leg. I saw them play against Club Brugge in the Belgian Cup Super Cup at the weekend. They came from behind to draw and then win on penalties. They have a little bit of Canadian content as well. I just think that there's still a little bit of class difference between the Belgian league and the Norwegian league. And even though Bodo is a good story, I think Union Saint-Gilloise has the weapons to get a win in the first leg.
So we got Saint-Gilloise plus or minus a half plus 120.
120, 125. There's good prices out there, so shop around.
Yes, but the double chance is what we're looking for there. If you want
no, minus a half.
Oh, sorry, minus a half.
To win.
Apologies,
Yes.
to win. Yes,
Yeah.
sorry, to win. Plus 120 right now is available on FanDuel for them to win. Yeah, there we go. That makes sense. Sorry. Anything else you like in terms of matches coming up here?
The other play
Lyon,
I have
Sparta.
is on Hapoel Beersheva, the Israeli champions. They've been knocking on the door for a couple of seasons, and they finally broke through this past season, and now they're playing in the Champions League. It's a big opportunity for them. They got through against the Irish opponents in the last round, and now they're playing at home against the Serbian champs. They're plus 3/4. I got them at even money. They're actually plus 110, so money coming against me on that one. But I think they're a solid team that defends well, and they take their chances. Red Star is also solid, but I think on the road this will be pretty cautious by both teams, and I think a draw or a home to win is likely here. Plus 3/4, a quarter too much for, in my opinion.
Okay, fair enough. Here, would you like take a look at the double chance here for this? The winner, the tie, is that a little bit too much?
Double chance is fine if the price is right. Like I was shopping around and I saw that the sponsor was plus a half, plus 120. Market is plus 3/4, plus 110. So you're giving up about 15-20 cents there. So you want to shop around and get the best price. If you're going to play plus a half, that's also worth a bet if you get the right price.
Look for the 3/4. That 3/4, right? Yeah. Look for the 3/4 plus 110, 120 ish. That's out there right now. And I appreciate you sticking to the bit here, betting on a team with beer in their name. Drunken Goon, sticking to the name. Any other bets in this one in this round?
Nothing else in the Champions League. I have a couple of bets. One in Europa League. Romanian side, I know very well Craiova. They disappointed the last round against Levski, but they're going to Finland against Kups, the Finnish champions. Kups has already lost 2 home games in Champions League, and I think they're going to lose a third. Craiova is one of those teams that invested a lot of money in players, and they have quality. They've done well, but came up against a tough opponent, and now they get dumped into Europa League. And they're looking to continue that because they have to recoup all the money they invested. So it's kind of a do or die thing for them to qualify in Europe. I think minus 108 is a good price to win away at Kups.
Yeah, minus the half, minus 105, or just to win on the 3-way money line, get it at minus 110 at FanDuel. But of course, if you have access to that 108, we obviously recommend that you shop around for that one. If not, FanDuel is also just as good of a price at the minus 110 there. Any other teams you're looking at for the Europa League? I know that there's like some Scottish teams in here with Hearts, Rangers. We got Benfica in here, some interesting names.
I was on the bandwagon for Hearts. I'm a big Tony Bloom fan, and they disappointed against the Austrian champions in the Champions League. They got dumped into Europa League as well. I don't know if I can trust them right now. Rangers on the road, that's always an interesting proposition. I'm gonna circle and pass. The only other plays I have are in Conference League. I got Norwegian Brandbergen, minus 120, minus 3/4, minus 120 at home to Apollon Limassol from Cyprus. Bergen is a tough place to go. It's a long trip. It's on the ocean front there. You get weather, you get all kinds of things, and nice support for the home team. And they last year was their first year back in Europe, and they did well. They got to the spring games. And I think they're going to make a run this year as well. So that's worth a play for me. I think they win 2-0, 3-0.
So that's sorry. Repeat that again. The
Brandbergen minus 3/4, minus 120.
Brunbergen. I can't even find Brunbergen. Brunbergen minus. All right. Last one here. Let's flip over and talk Leagues Cup. I know there's no
before that, two more plays really quick.
Yeah, go.
Dynamo Kiev -0.5 plus 120 against Karabakh. Karabakh played in Champions League. Dynamo Kiev is one of those teams that has been around. I saw 3 of their 4 games so far, and they're really solid. They create a lot of chances, so I think that one's off by about 20 cents. So worth betting Dynamo Kiev.
On the money line?
Yeah, 3-way.
3-way money line. Price you need is
as low as evens, but 120s are available.
Okay, 120s are available. 105 on FanDuel. The second one you had?
The last one is Serbian side Borek Banja Luka -0.5 -143 against the Vitesse. I saw Vitesse's play in the first round of the Champions League. It got dumped pretty badly. I don't think they can compete.
All right. Let's head over and let's talk some Leagues Cup then. No MLS action this week, so we can't talk about that. But Leagues
we got
Cup.
One game.
One game.
Yeah, makeup game.
Oh, okay. You want
We
to talk
don't care
about?
about it.
We don't care about it. All right, there we go. Talk me through the Leagues Cup then. There's a mix of whatever, a couple MLS teams, a couple Liga, Mexican league teams. How does this work? Are you focusing a lot on this? Talk me through just what you're seeing right now.
So it's been a great tournament for me historically. It's something they throw in the middle of summer as a gimmick. Some teams take it seriously, some don't. If you can get a good read on the teams, you'll have nice betting opportunities. Used to be all MLS and all Mexican teams, and they're playing a mixed schedule. Now it's U.S. team versus Mexican team for all 3 games in their group, and then the standings are done differently than they used to be. Basically, you have to get 6 or 7 points to have a chance to advance, so win 2 and maybe get a draw in the 3rd game. So there's a lot of pressure to advance, but there's money on the line. There's one Canadian team, Vancouver, in there as a token team, and they're biggest favorite on the board. I think this midweek. I failed to get on them at -1.25, and that's too steep for me at -175. But it might be a nice opportunity to bet them live if things go the right way.
All right. Keep an eye
as far as other
live.
plays, I have 2 plays. FC Dallas, that's tomorrow night, I think, against Querétaro, -0.5, -125. And in the big California derby, it's LAFC draw no bet at home -104.
LAFC draw no bet -124. You said.
Yeah.
All right, there we go. LAFC
against the Chivas.
All right, there we go.
Big
I like
Mexican population in LA, so it's gonna be a big game.
Good
crowd, good.
Are there futures for this out on FanDuel? I'm trying to find them, but
I have not seen to win futures yet, but there's probably going to be some
after
either just before game time tonight or after the first set of games. There will be futures. Books will post them, but it's one of those competitions that flies under the radar for the most part. And then once it gets going, people get interested.
All right, makes perfect sense here. If you had to pick a team just to win right now, based on just the gut check, who would you pick?
I have no idea at this point. Gotta see the level of interest. That's
Yes.
why a lot of the action happens at game time once you see lineups. One thing that's interesting, the Mexican teams have deeper rosters because they travel for their games. So you'll see regular numbers, and then you'll see players with 3-digit numbers. Those are the juniors that get affiliated to the team. So if you see number 121, it's like a teenage kid coming in for his first minutes. The more triple-digit players on the bench or in the lineup, the worse the team is likely going to be. So it looks like they might be resting a lot of players.
All right, that's hilarious. But I mean, why don't they just use like numbers that are like past 30? Like, I don't understand. Like, there's why are they using the hundreds?
It's a Mexican thing. Don't question it. It's probably byproduct of tequila.
Okay, all right, makes perfect. I guess that makes sense. Maybe I'm breaking tradition here. My bad.
It's like young drivers. You have the little thing on the back of your car, so everybody can avoid you, not take you too seriously. And,
all right, that actually makes a lot more sense there. Before you head out here, we saw a little bit of beef on the Twitter timeline. Yeah, a little bit of drama. We're not talking about Bet Bash right now. We're talking about Fabrizio Romano, who's been like the guy to break all the signings.
Here we go.
Go-to guy. There's a kid on Instagram who's done a better job that I find. I forget his name, but that kid is an absolute stud. But no, it's not between those two guys. It's Plettenberg. New
goal. That's his handle.
There we go. Yeah, new New guy, never heard of him.
So he's been around for a while. He was involved with Transfermarkt. He does a lot of work for them, and he's on Sky Germany.
Okay, new guy in my books because I haven't really seen the name. I've always been familiar with Fabrizio Romano, but I've heard that he's fallen off now. It's all over this Yan Diamant to Real Madrid. It sounded like Fabrizio Romano confirmed it, and then Florian Plettenberg said it was not true.
Not so fast.
Then he also tweeted that no, they are working on it. What's going on here? Who do you believe? Who do you like more?
So Fabrizio's got a cult following, and he's kind of living off his past glory. He's got some deals in the works with teams, and he does a lot of promotional stuff. He still gets a lot of scoops, but he has the big following. Florian is a German guy. Germans, they do things by the book. So there's been accusations that Fabrizio has jumped the gun on a few transfers. Basically picking the low-hanging fruit for things that are supposed to happen and putting them out early and then confirming them late. There was one tweet where he put the final score Norway-Brazil 2-0, and then Brazil scored in added time, and he erased the tweet or the Instagram post. So the Germans like to do things by the book, dot the I's, cross the T's, and the beef came from that. The good thing is that Diamante's prices just keeps going up, and maybe Fabrizio will have to pay a percentage of that to help Real Madrid get it over the line.
Yeah, maybe, or maybe it's the agent in his has Fabrizio in his pocket saying let's get this contract done.
There's more than one agent that have him on speed dial. Let's put it that way.
He is the soccer version of Adam Schefter, I guess, is what it sounds like.
I would think more like Scott Boras without being an agent.
Okay, fair.
He puts out the stuff to bump up the prices and.
Yeah. All right. Well, I gotta get in Fabrizio Romano's good book next time. I gotta get a negotiate salary for here on this show. Maybe you can give me a little price bump there. Goon, appreciate you joining the show. Any final thoughts before you head out?
No. Just I was reffing over the weekend a big local tournament here. If you're a parent of a kid, support your kid, but don't worry about the things you can't control. Weather was a big issue here, and the team from Burlington almost came to blows with the tournament management because they didn't let the games finish when the ball wouldn't bounce. So as a ref, I gotta stick with the rules, but it was kind of ridiculous. People, support your kids. Don't cross the lines.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's good to see that. I guess people are caring more about soccer because we would see that in a hockey tournament for sure, as we've seen many.
It was that kind of atmosphere where people almost came to blows.
Yeah, but I remember an incident where someone hit somebody with a Yeti mug. Anyways, Adrian, appreciate you joining the show, and we'll chat soon.
Sounds good. Have a good one.
Great stuff there from Adrian as always. Don't fight if you have kids. Don't fight other parents. What are you doing? Be an adult. Be the adult in the room. Be the adult in the room. Go follow Adrian on Twitter at Drunken Goon. Go check out the Discord as well, because I'm sure he'll be sharing more stuff there throughout this entire offseason. We got Union -0.5 plus 120. Beer Shiva plus 0.75 plus the 3/4 at plus 120. Craiova at -110 for the Champions League. Braun minus the quarter for the Europa League. Kiev plus 105. FC Dallas plus -0.5 minus 125. Then LAFC draw no bet minus 124 as a quick recap of what I tried to gather from Drunken Goon for what he had for his soccer plays. We got a stacked show coming up this week, so make sure you hit that subscribe button and ring that notification bell to see what we have coming up. Got a special guest coming on tomorrow. Cannot wait to talk about their documented record. Got Jeff Feinberg, I believe, coming on the show as well tomorrow to talk some golf. Thursday, we have our first. Oh my God, what I would do to watch a Week 9 game between the Cardinals and the Panthers last year. Right now, we get that this week on Thursday. A little bit of preseason action, Hall of Fame game. I believe I can say it. I think the Hitman, pretty 99% sure we got him locked up. Hitman's going to come on, make his return to the show. We missed him. Hope he's doing well. Hope his handicap is as good as Golden Pants as well. So yeah, we got tons of stuff happening this week. Plus, we'll give you all the updates that you're missing out on Bet Bash. If you're not there, we got you guys covered. Before you head out, you know the drill. Smash the like button. If you're listening on audio form, rate and review 5 stars. I know that this is like something that's tiny and you might not think it matters, but trust me, every review really does matter. And if you every time you give us 5 stars, Spotify boosts us in in their Spotify algorithm. Apple Music boosts us in the algorithm, and we climb those charts, and more people can find us, and we can keep doing great things out there. George saying Kenny Pickett gonna look like prime Peyton Manning out there. Oof, George, my goodness. I cannot wait to watch. I kind of want to do a watch along for this. Like it's going to be boring, but like the total's 35.5, I think. Like it's going to be an awful game, but like feed me that. I know for a fact. Hitman's going to come on and share some bets for us here on the show. I listen, the Cardinals QB battle is like a little interesting here. I know Caustic is going to be circling that one. He's all over Carson Beck, offensive rookie of the year. And who knows, maybe Carson Beck can win the job from Jacoby Brissett. Something happens there. All right. Let's head out here. Smash the like button. Drop a comment down below if you're watching this after the fact. Appreciate you guys in the chat, chatting along the entire way. Shout out to TQ, Connor Hartle, Chack Attack, G-Stack, Travis, Moretto, E-Colt, all the freaks in the chat. Appreciate you guys tuning in throughout the entire show. Shout out to Josh. Shout out to Adrian. Shout out to Mike for keeping everything smooth behind the boards. Shout out to you guys for watching all the way through. This has been the Tuesday, August 4th edition of the Hammer Daily here on the Hammer Bang Network, presented by our good friends over at FanDuel. See you guys right here tomorrow.